You got to have tough skin, and you have to be able to hear some things that are hard, like, don't do that. That's stupid. Yeah.
I always say it's a tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, it's a tomorrow's problem. Unless it's tonight and you can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Then it's a tonight's problem.
Exactly.
I'll take that stress for them. That's my job. That's why they hire me. That's why I get paid the median bucks.
Welcome to the House Next Door
with Barbara Gilio,
and Anthony Harris,
where real estate meets reality.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So today's episode, or this week's episode,
yes.
is what keeps us up at night.
Oh.
And there's a lot that keeps us up at night.
There's a lot.
Well, so do we have any life updates?
I'm getting ready to go on a wonderful trip to New England. I cannot wait. I have never been. We're going to go see the fall tours. We're going to go to Boston. We're going to go to Vermont. We're going to go to New Hampshire. We're going to Maine. We're going to Rhode Island. I can't wait to see some of those Gilded Age mansions, because I live for the Gilded Age. Just a road trip, the two of us. So
that'll be fun.
It'll be
Are you
really
driving
fun.
the whole way?
Yeah. Well, once we fly, we're going to fly to Boston. Then we're renting a Jeep. Hopefully we actually get a Jeep, because usually they're like, a Jeep or something similar, and it's it's not something similar. It's a Yaris. It's the opposite of a Jeep.
Yeah.
We have to get away. That's important in our industry, is that because we work 24/7, and that's part of the thing that keeps us up
last
at
night
night.
after we got done, got done filming 9 o'clock. Well, we got done I left here at 9 or so. 10,
Yeah.
And then I had to go home and write an offer.
I'm writing an offer. Yeah. Exactly. So when you're a realtor, I always say it's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
It is.
And because
your whole family's involved.
Your whole family is involved. Your life is involved. You go on vacation.
You took your mom on a showing the other day.
I did. I've taken my mom on showings.
I take mine, but she's a realtor.
She's a realtor. When you're on vacation, you often have to take calls and write contracts. It's just weave your life in with your business. Mm-hmm. And that's how it is. Because when people want to see houses, they want to see houses.
There's some agents that do really well at not working when they're on vacation, but that's not me.
No, I haven't figured out how to set boundaries.
Yeah. I know how to set them and then give in to them.
Well, and I understand, because when I want to see something, I want to see something. I'm impatient. And so I get that. And so I sympathize with my clients that way. So I think that's why I'm similar with not setting boundaries. I'm like, okay, you want to see this house? I can't. I'm about to get a colonoscopy, but I will find somebody who can show you this house today. Anthony, are you available?
Maybe. Have to wipe off this turkey poop real quick.
But that kind of goes in line with what we're talking about today. What keeps us up at night?
Yeah.
Because we never really shut off as much as we should shut off. And I know there are agents that do. When they're on, they're on. And when they're off, they're off.
I don't see how they operate that. I don't see it.
I feel like they have to have a team to do that. If you have a team, I feel like you can do that. I am a lone agent. I am not a team agent. I have my transaction coordinator and I have my support systems, but my business is my business.
Same.
Yeah.
And you've been on a team.
I've
never been
on
a
teams.
team.
And
I've always been a solo.
I've been on 2 teams, and I did not love it. The first team was.
I like to be in control.
I like to be in control.
I would be the team leader.
Yeah, if you're the team leader, it's different. In first team, I was a little newer, didn't really
know.
But
I don't know if I'll have patience, because typically on teams you get newer agents.
You do.
That want to learn.
That's the fun part, is to mentor. And the second team I was on, it was more of a collaborative group, but it ended up not being a collaborative group, because there were some of us that wanted to do that, and then there were others of us that just personalities. They just were not the same personalities. Ego.
Economics over ego. Let's circle back to episode
ego.
4. I don't know.
And some people are just, they're very sensitive. And when you're in this industry, you can't be sensitive. You've got to have tough skin. And you have to be able to hear some things that are hard. Like, don't do that. That's stupid. Do this instead. And there are some people who, that are younger or just newer agents, that when you try to give them some sort of direction, and if you don't, wrap it up in this pretty little fancy bow and make it really soft and gentle, they don't want to hear it. And that's not my delivery all the time. Sometimes my delivery is, that's dumb. Stop doing that. And that can be offensive. So teams aren't good for me.
So what keeps you up at night?
Teams? No.
And for the corporate people, not Microsoft Teams.
Things that keep me up at night.
Do you me to go first, or?
Yeah, you go first because
Yeah.
if you let me, I'll just talk this whole time, and it can be annoying.
So my brain is just a mess. I'm always thinking. So the shower and when I lay down for bed, those are where my brain goes 100 miles an hour thinking about reliving the day, or yeah, I
Or the
guess.
past 10 years.
Yeah,
Whatever.
And so with that, I think about the emails I was supposed to send to clients, the follow up that I was supposed, and I put it off until I can't put it off anymore. And so I think of, I was supposed to let them know this sells for the neighborhood last,
Mhm.
for my listing, or so that's one of the things. And then the other is whenever I'm doing a contract, like when we're under contract with something, is did we hit the deadline? When is
You
our
second
option
guess.
period up? Is
And you know all those things. I
Yeah,
know you.
my
'cause one-
transaction coordinator puts
you
in
have
my
you
calendar.
have an excellent transaction coordinator, and you know all of your deadlines, and you are actually very good at follow up. But you're being harder on yourself than you actually are. I mean, but that's how it is. You're just picking through every detail and
and-
second guessing it.
And I was talking to a client this morning that I showed them some houses this last weekend, and she's like, Anthony, you're really good at details, and you knew every detail about every house we
Mhm.
looked at. And I was like, well, I try. And she's like, no, don't doubt yourself. You're
Yeah.
amazing at it. And I was like,
You really are, and I think you get in your head
well, there's a lot
About
that goes
that.
through my head.
and you second guess yourself when you shouldn't because you are so spot on and you know your stuff. You really do.
And that's what I told her. I said, it just comes with experience.
Yeah.
And this last week, there was a lot that kept me up this last weekend.
You had a lot going.
I think I was telling you, I probably showed 5 or 6 people with a total of 20 houses,
Mhm.
and I probably put 1,000 miles on my car. And when you're running that fast and in your car that much, it's when you get home, you start thinking of everything that you should have done that day.
Yeah.
that I always say it's a tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, it's a tomorrow's problem. Unless it's tonight and you can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Then it's a tonight's problem.
Exactly. What was it the other day? I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and had to be somewhere at 8. And I was like, well, I'm just going to stay up at this point, just get my day started because I know I can't go back to sleep.
I've done that before where I'm just thinking over this problem with work. Comps, how are we gonna list this house differently in this struggling market? So the market keeps me up a lot at
Mhm.
night. Just how am I gonna set my houses apart from all the other houses that it blends in with? All of the new construction that it's competing with. That's the hardest one, is how do I compete with new construction? I really can't with resale. I just can't. They are
Every
totally
home is just unique and they'll
Yeah.
have to love it.
new construction is a different seller. I mean, they are a willing seller. They have a commodity and they can buy the rate down. So they got to move product. A homeowner is not that kind of seller. They're emotionally attached. They have time and this is their personal home. They've got to get as much money out of it as possible. And so that keeps me up. Like, how do I compete with something that I really can't compete with? And how do I differentiate my client's home that might not really have an amazing, unique selling feature? So when you have a house that's like got this crazy selling feature and you price it right,
We call them unicorns.
we call them unicorns or cream puff homes. Those are usually a little bit easier. But when you just, you have your normal suburban home in a neighborhood that's got a lot of inventory, how do you differentiate that? So I'll just sit up at night running through all these different things. And sometimes I just get up and I start marketing.
I
It's
do
just
too.
easier. It's just easier to do and then to try to go to sleep and let it go. Because you get really good ideas when you're laying
Mhm.
down and
Yeah.
you're like, man. And I even have like a pad of paper and pen next to my bed to write ideas down. But then sometimes I've misplaced that because I've taken it up to my office or whatever. So I send myself like 17 emails at night and I just put everything in the subject line. So call this, do this, here's a script for a new, like a marketing ad. I send myself emails all night
See,
long.
mine's all in my notepad on my phone,
Oh, okay.
but they're so random. When you're going through them,
Yeah.
the notes are like, I have a podcast one that I like add stuff to
Yeah.
that I want to talk about, and then they're just random.
They're random. Yeah.
Codes to lock boxes. And something else that keeps me up, speaking of lock boxes, is did I lock that door? When I'm you're showing you're in a rhythm, you're going to the next property. And then when you lay down at night, you're like, did I lock the door to, should
Yeah.
we use a Glinda line? 123 Banana Street.
Oh, 123 Banana Street, 123 Main Street. Yeah.
Shout out to Glinda.
Shout out to
Baker.
Glenda Baker. Well, I think about that too because I'm so paranoid about it, checking all the doors, checking everything.
I honestly think that I care less now. It used to keep me up. So when I was showing in Georgetown, the owner was so impressed that I turned off the lights and locked all the doors. And I was like, this isn't common.
That's kind of a low bar.
It was a more luxury home too.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a lot of light switches. So,
Yeah.
and they were all on when we got there, but I feel like it's common courtesy
To turn them
to
off.
turn 'em off.
I
Yeah.
usually text the agent and say, do you have other showings today? Would you like me to leave the lights on or turn them off for you?
Yeah.
And then I just, do whatever
But,
they prefer.
I honestly think that kind of won us to the deal because the owner brought it up that no other agent has done that, and she liked me.
Well, whatever we can do sometimes, especially when the market's tight.
We kind of
and
wrote a
have to-
letter about the oak tree in the front yard too, but
I always get so distracted when I'm looking at a home with my clients and we're talking and they're talking and we're trying to make sure we're doing all the things, right? Turning on the lights, turning off the lights, locking the doors, checking all the sliders. And then they're continuing to talk to you. And so sometimes it's easy to just miss something. And I hadn't missed a locked door in years. And then I missed one. And it was a front door. And I was
did
with
the other agent chew you out?
Yes. Yes. I got chewed on that one.
So you got chewed and spit out.
I did. And, they weren't wrong for doing it. And I was
Well,
with a large group of people.
Were they wrong though? Because in one of our other episodes, we talked about that you need to have that relationship with
Yeah.
other agents, and that
Yeah.
could not be a
But
that could be
they
killing
could have
the
done it in
relationship.
a nicer
Yeah,
way.
because they're a realtor as well.
Yeah, they went ahead and, told me I was an idiot and that I had no business showing homes and that
So did your people like the house?
they actually really liked the house, but it was already under contract and it updated active under contract as soon as we got there. And so the status, and it was one of those where it was out in Sun City and those agents are hard to get in touch with and all that good stuff. And it was vacant go. And so I didn't check the status before I went. We were seeing about 8 homes that day.
Oh, this was the recent one.
Yeah, it was very recent. It was a couple of weeks ago. And I was, my group I was with, they're chatty, they're my friends, clients, the whole 9 yards.
So-
I always check the door, but I guess on this one I just didn't. And some of these doors were sticky
Uh-huh.
and weird because they've
We've
been
already
vacant.
talked about trying to get into a house.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so I guess I missed it. And the agent sent me this whole long thing about from the seller how she had this feeling that there was something wrong. And she went to the house and sure enough, the door was unlocked. And then the agent copied and pasted this all to me and how the seller doesn't understand how a realtor could miss that. That is their main job. This is a disgrace and I'm an idiot. And the agent just kind of said, so FYI, for your information, you missed this. And I said, oh man, I haven't missed a locked door in years. I really sincerely apologize. Let your client know. But in my mind, I'm thinking, there's just a nicer way to go about this. We all kind of make mistakes sometimes, but thank God it was vacant. Thank gosh it was in a really, protected neighborhood. And since then, I've gotten even more paranoid because I have not made that mistake really ever. I've never not
I
had a
don't
locked
think
door. That was my first time ever.
Yeah, I'm sure I have, but not that I know of.
Yeah, no, I just, and so now I'm like, oh, double check. But it's
Speaking
just,
of,
I hate to get my ass chewed. It was not fun.
so speaking of which, I had a listing. It's kind of off topic. I had a listing in Smithville where the buyer pulled up the carpet in the whole closet. They took up all the carpet in the closet.
Oh my gosh.
And
Why?
I text.
So did they have a contract on the house?
No,
Were they
no,
the buyer?
No, they were buying, but they had no contract. They were
Oh.
just looking at the house.
They were just touring
Mhm.
and they decided
And I was
to
at
pull
the
the carpet
house
up?
the day before, and my friend went and showed it that morning, and then this other agent showed it. And so I texted the agent because I knew it wasn't that way. And I said, hey, are you aware of this? And I sent her a picture of the carpet torn up, and they didn't even put it back. They just folded it over. And she said, nope, it was that way when we got there. Yep.
No accountability.
And, my sellers are mad, obviously, but we just let it be.
Yeah, it's just interesting things that happen during your showings, but
And I understand we can't control them.
No.
But you can own up to it.
You can own up to it.
Hey,
yeah.
sorry, I didn't realize they were doing that. Or I told them not to and they continue to. What do we need to do? Nothing. Nope, it was that way.
And you didn't even shoo her for that?
No.
That's good of you, because we did talk about it. It's good to get along with other agents. There's nice ways to say, hey, that wasn't the nicest thing for you to do.
I sent probably a text message that was probably direct, but not mean. Just where I called her out without being rude.
The other thing that I had a client, 2023, again, that was a tough year for me. 2023 was a very good year for me in real estate in terms of production and business. It was a very successful year for me, but it was emotionally a really tough year for me with clients. And that was the first year after everything was kind of going crazy that the brakes hit. That's when the rates got up to 8%. And so I felt like, again, everybody had lost their mind. Buyers agents, sellers, everybody. Yeah, I think they still have lost their mind. And I had a really great repeat client of mine, and I think they were equally going through a hard time. And we had a very tough transaction. We were trying to set a record in one of the hardest markets. But when we set out to set this record, the market was in a very different place. And real estate is like that. It's not risk adverse. There is risk to it, and markets can change on a dime, as we have learned. And so this particular house, we're trying to push a record in a challenging market. We have an agent on the other end that is not super experienced in the area. And also I wondered if he was in the beginning stages of dementia, to be honest. Yeah, I really did. And so I had a lot of sympathy for him. And then I realized, no, this is his tactic, is to be kind of confusing and then push things on other people and then say he said something, and then he's talking both sides out of his mouth, essentially. And he's just he's telling me one thing, somebody the other thing, and he's really stirring the pot. He was probably one of the most unethical realtors I ever worked with. And I've worked with a lot of unethical realtors, so that's saying something. That's really saying something.
It's so crazy how many
unethical realtors.
And the crazy stuff they do.
And it was bad. And so that kept me up at night. That deal I got to a point where I didn't take any more business. I said, that's it. I'm not doing I'm not taking buyers. I'm not taking any listings. I am focusing 100% on this house, and I am going to get this house sold if it kills me, and I cannot do anything else. And it kept me up at night. I got shingles. From this deal. From
the stress?
Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was shingles. I thought it was just like a sciatic nerve thing. And then I found out, I was like, what is this? And I got shingles from it. And it was just that deal. I was so wrapped up in it. And I couldn't separate myself from it at that point. And it wasn't that I started with no boundaries or something like that. It was just one of these deals that was just so hard. So hard.
And it consumes all your time.
It does.
I have one right now, as you know.
And
I still have time for other transactions, but it's taking a lot.
It's taking a lot of your soul. And I was so happy when we closed. We ended up breaking a record.
Good.
And we appraised. Every agent told me, you're never going to appraise. You're never going to get that number. And I was on vacation. My husband's driving through the mountains of Georgia, and I'm on the phone with the appraiser for an hour, going through everything that we did to that house. And
that's
telling
a good appraiser.
And I told him all the, the materials that were used, all this, everything. He fully appreciated it. He understood the value we put in, and we appraised.
Nice.
We appraised for more than contract.
Wow.
And so many people told me that was never going to happen, and I was crazy for even trying this. Yep. And so when we closed, we had broken a record. But my client...
And I want to go back to one of the things from the beginning of our episodes. That's a good realtor.
Oh, thank you. I've had to fight for some appraisals lately, and it's a lot of work.
And see, on my end, I've been buyer heavy for my buyers, I want the lower price.
I've gone to bat for a lot of appraisals lately, and it's a lot of work that your sellers don't know, and they don't need to know that. They don't need to be bogged down with those details.
To an extent, I think when we're talking about price and setting the price,
Yeah.
it should be a conversation that we
Oh
have.
yeah, up front it's always a
Um,
conversation.
Yeah,
of,
and it's
you
like
want a
these are
price
the risks
here.
that you might end up back where I told you
Yeah.
that we should have been.
Exactly. When you're pricing, yeah, you may want that, but are we going to appraise? So we always have that conversation up front. But then once we're in the weeds and we're, under contract, I try to do everything I can to appraise, but I don't necessarily tell my clients how hard that process is because I want them to think it's easy peasy
Yep.
and
Not be
stress
stressed.
free for them. Yeah, I'll take that stress for them. That's my job. That's why they hire me. That's why I get paid the median bucks. That transaction ended even though we broke a record and it was an amazing house. It was one of those closings where it was bittersweet.
Mhm.
My client was left not feeling happy
Oh.
despite everything that we did or I did or could do. And I understand why, because it was just one of those deals where it was ugly.
Yeah.
And as much as I tried to protect, I couldn't protect. And since it was also a friend of mine, I feel like all my clients are my friends at some point.
Yeah.
It hurt especially hard for me that I couldn't protect him from everything, but I was still glad that, hey, we broke a record,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, yeah, whatever.
He's not having it.
Like, I have shingles. I'm dying over here. But that one, those are the deals that keep you up at night.
This one has all weekend.
Yeah. You've
It's
been
almost-
not sleeping all night for this one too. And that's why we have to go on vacation. Where we
Yes.
started. Sometimes you need that break so you can separate yourself, reset, come back, and be able to not sleep again at night. Well, this is good to talk about.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us and listening to what gives us insomnia. If
Sometimes
you're another
more than
realtor out
others.
there, you may comment. Tell us about your stories that keep you up at night. And like and subscribe and all that good
And
stuff.
share and
Yeah. Until next week.
Yep. See y'all next week.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yes, so please like, subscribe, comment,
Share,
follow.
whatever it might be.
Until next time.